फिर से होगा। Hello everyone, I am Sneha Gupta. I am a senior regulatory affairs professional, and today I will be talking you through the introduction to regulatory affairs. In this presentation, as you can see, the agenda of the presentation is I will be introducing you to what drug regulatory affairs is all about. Why is this department needed in a company? What is the exact role of a DRA expert? Where are the domains in which we function? What are the qualities needed by a DRA expert, and what are some of the submission management skills that we need? And I would also take you through a brief introduction to the global regulatory agencies, which by far control the pharmaceutical industry across the globe. So starting on with the first slide, I am sure you are all aware that pharmaceutical and clinical research industry is one of the most regulated amongst all the industries, because here we are dealing with human data, and the studies are being carried out after the preclinical stage. It's being carried out directly on the human beings. So every drug, before it gets its marketing approval, it has to undergo rigorous scrutiny of clinical trials so that the company can be ensured of its safety, efficacy and quality. And these trials, when we run it, there are certain set standards which are given by the regulatory authorities across the globe, according to which the trials have to be conducted and the data has to be collected. The RA department plays a very crucial link between the company, the product and the regulatory authorities. It's like the regulatory affairs professionals are like a bridge between the company which is conducting the research, their products, and how they are able to get the marketing authorization from the regulatory authorities. Regulatory affairs, as I have been in this industry for the last 8 years, and I am I'm a core regulatory affairs professional. So I would like to personally define regulatory affairs as a very dynamic and a challenging profession. It's very interesting as well, because it gives in this domain we have to give strategic and technical advice for product development to our companies, and we have to contribute to a commercial and the scientific success of a development program, of a product development program, because again, we are the interface of the company, we are the face of the company in the regulatory agencies. So as the better we present our case in front of the agencies, the better are the chances of getting a marketing approval. And also it plays a very important, this domain plays a very important role in ensuring public health by controlling the safety and efficacy of the products. So, talking about what exactly is drug regulatory affairs, as I have spoken, that it's a unique mix of science and management to achieve a commercially important goal. Because at the end of the day, any kind of a scientific research that is being done by the pharmaceutical company is to achieve marketing authorizations for their product, so that they can sell the product in the larger market. So overall, the regulatory affair, it touches everything relating to the drug starting from its initial development stages, moving on to the manufacture, and then finally the marketing stage. Broadly, an RA professional takes care of the design, which is equivalent to the development plan, coordination, that is writing, reviewing and supervising all the essential documents which are developed for the product, construction and submission management. We are we have to prepare the submission dossiers which goes to the government agencies for their review and approval. As you can see in the in this diagram, you would see that the life cycle management ranges from drug discovery till the post-marketing stages of the process, and from the drug development to commercialization, each step is regulated. So the scope is defined for regulatory affairs professional as they are assisting the QC and the QA auditors to ensure that the compliance is being maintained to the all the applicable regulatory guidelines. Then compliance and concurrent auditing of the corporate auditing processes are in place. Then strategic and tactical planning is there. We are a submission specialist. Then there is adverse event reporting. Any kind of an adverse event that happens during the course of the study, it has to be reported in a timely manner to the regulatory agencies. Then we also play a role in the research and development overall, and in the vigilance and in the post-marketing surveillance of the product. The key responsibilities of a regulatory affair professional are we have to keep up to date about all the international legislations, guidelines and customer practices, so that we can give better regulatory strategies and analysis to our companies in order to be able to strategically decide that when they have to do the filing and when they can actually launch the product in the country. They have to keep updated with the company's product range. They have to ensure that the already marketed products of the company are in compliance with the current regulations. Often that I do it continuously in my company. We impart training to other departments, like the R&D department, like the clinical operations department, about the current regulatory requirements and how they would be applied in the actual scenario. Then we often have to formulate the regulatory submission strategies, like how we will be meeting the regulatory agencies, how we will be talking to them, what kind of material we would be presenting in front of them to get an approval. Then, as I have already talked about in the previous slide, that we play, the regulatory affairs professional, we play a very, very critical role in also reviewing and compilation of the essential regulatory documents like the IMPD, the DMF. The DMF is a drug master file, the ANDA applications, the marketing authorization applications, and any dossiers, and to ensure that they are in exact compliance with not only with the ICH GCP overall, but also the local country guidelines. And after the submission is made, we have to keep a close watch and we have to closely monitor the progress of all the registration submissions, how well the application is progressing in the agency office, has it reached the concerned officers, what is the kind of timeline that we should expect for getting an approval, and the same needs to be communicated back to the operations team so that they can plan their activities accordingly. Then during a submission process, any query can also be raised by the regulators. So the regulatory officials, they have to ensure that if any such query is raised by the regulatory agency, then an appropriate response is submitted to them to take care of it, and it's also there is a time frame in which you have to answer back to them. So we need to take care that the appropriate answer is submitted back to the agency in a particular in the correct time frame. Then the regulatory affairs professional is also responsible for handling regulatory and customer inspections, review the audit reports, and ensure that if there are any audit findings, then the compliance is being followed and the compliance is being done to those deviations. And also one very important role that in fact I also play in my company is that we need to arrange for consultation and meeting between our senior officials or the company people with the government regulatory agency. So something like a licensing role is also of great importance. I think some of you have some questions, but I would appreciate, like, let's first get over with the complete presentation, and then probably I can answer your questions. I guess that should be fine, right? Then, as one of the very important function of a regulatory affairs profession or a department as such is that we need to keep a track of the changing legislations of the region, and especially if that region is of marketing importance to the company. I am very sure that in the last 1 year, and if you've been interested in regulatory affairs, you would have been reading in the newspapers a lot of regulatory laws and guidelines are changing for India. For India, currently the regulatory scenario is in a highly dynamic stage. So as a regulatory affairs professional, it's very important that one is aware of how these guidelines are changing and what are the possible impact on the business these changes are going to make. Then we have to, as I said, we have to keep advising the different kinds of team, the marketing team, the operations team, in a legal and a scientific, what kind of restraints are going to be posed on the product, and what are the requirements and how we can maneuver from that. Then also we need to collect and collate and evaluate the scientific data from the R&D department. An important function of the regulatory affairs department is to present the registration documents to the regulatory agencies and carry out negotiations necessary to obtain the marketing authorization. When I say negotiations, yes, there may be queries by the experts. There may be certain concerns that they may not want to give an approval to the product. But in that, this is where the regulatory professional comes into place, and they will gather the correct data, or maybe ask a appropriate person from the medical team to come and talk to the regulators about how a product is going to be beneficial to the patient population, and help in basically getting the marketing authorization for the product. Then it's very, very important for a regulatory professional to understand and give strategic and technical advice in their companies right from the beginning of the product development. And also the regulatory affairs department is also not only dealing with the studies and the marketing that is going on within the country, but if the company is exporting, like in India we have a number of generic companies which are exporting their products out of the country to different regions. So what are the export markets the company is dealing in? What are their guidelines, and how any change might affect the export process? The regulatory affairs professional needs to take care of that. why is this department considered to be an important one? Because first and foremost, it is, if left to its natural course of action, a dossier approval may take about 8 to 9 months, or maybe sometimes even a year in a country like India. But it is here the expertise of people like us comes handy, wherein we are able to negotiate liaison with the officers on a continuous basis to ensure that the reduction of time happens. Something which is supposed to come in a normal course in a year's time, maybe through negotiations, through licensing, comes handy to the company in 6 months. So, and you know that in from a business angle and from a marketing standpoint, every day counts, because a single day lost for a company in launching the product means a lot of money is involved at stake. So that is it's very important for regulatory professionals to have very good relations within the regulatory agency, so that they can convince and they can negotiate their way through the submission process. Then inadequate reporting of data, and supposedly there are any kind of challenges that can be straight away addressed, because mostly these regulatory affairs professionals are from companies. We represent companies, so if there is any query, any kind of a lacuna in the dossier which the officials are not happy about, that can be addressed directly, so that there is no conflict of interest and no conflict of mindset that this product is not good and it's going to cause harm. So that should not be there. Then a good regulatory affairs professional will help in maximizing the cost-effective use of the company's resources. How to basically in what way can you basically help in minimum investment and getting maximum results is what we look at. And also this department is the first point of contact between the government authorities and the company, and officials, they respond better to a company whose representative is scientifically accurate and knowledgeable about the product. So this is something that we need to take care of. So I've just, for your information, I've just tried to share here an overview of a product development team. You can see the project team leader or the manager, project manager is on the top. Then there are different sections of people who are working on the project. And over here you will see that once the first layer is basically collecting data from the toxicologist, the formulation chemist, or basically the preclinical stage, and then we can trickle down. Once the preclinical data is all in place, then we trickle down to the human phase, and therein we need the medical writers to assemble the documents together, and the regulatory leader would be reviewing all the data all along. There would be clinical research associates who would be the active members at the site, conducting and helping in the conduct of the clinical trial. There would be medical monitors, there would be safety specialists. So, and overall, if you see in the last row, you would see that the regulatory leader is playing a critical role in not only reviewing the preclinical data, but then afterwards the formulation data of the product. Then whatever the clinical studies, whatever studies are happening and whatever data is being generated, the kind of reports that are being created, all of that has to be reviewed and ensured that they are aligned in as per the applicable guidelines. And then also that person will be playing an active role in making the regulatory submissions to the actual agencies. You must be wondering that I have been talking about regulatory affairs. So where in which domains do we can we find jobs? So I would say that regulatory affairs professionals would find a very good and a well-paying job in any kind of pharmaceutical company, medical devices company, in vitro diagnostics, biologics and biotechnology companies, nutritional products and cosmetics company. Because currently these are the domains which are under strict regulations, not only in India but also by the US FDA. All these domains are highly regulated, and the demand of a qualified and a scientifically knowledgeable person is very, very high in all these companies. So basically, it's like it is like, okay, like for the last 8 years, I have been a single person team or a single person department, but this is not always the way. Basically, you have even if even if you are a single person department sometimes, but still you would have to interact with the other departments to collect your data. So I have kind of tried to give you an overview that the people with whom a typical regulatory affairs professional would be interacting would be pharmacologists, toxicologists, analytical chemists, pharmacists, medical doctors and statisticians, because these people are playing an important role in collecting data and creating documents. Then the interaction is basically to assimilate the information by such specialists, and then after the information has been assimilated, then it has to be compiled into a dossier or a file, and then it has to be presented into the regulatory authorities. And if the regulatory authorities, they have any kind of a feedback or the opinion, then the same is carried back and discussed with the team members from whom the data was collected in the initial phase. Talking about a regulatory, if you have a regulatory team, how it would work in for a clinical trial. Like you have been given a clinical trial, so typically what all once a project is allotted, what all other roles that a regulatory affairs professional would do is that we would be first and foremost working on, I said, the essential documents. Like if there is any kind of a draft package insert, then we would be working on that, and we would be seeing what kind of guidelines are required, for which country we are preparing this package insert. So it has to be as per the as per all the information that goes into the package insert has to be in compliance with the guidelines, and all the content, because headings are given to them, and then all the content has to be populated in that particular document. Then we have to basically identify the internal stakeholders and approve the financial information for generating the marketing claims. Excuse me. Then how the testing and advertising would be done for patients and healthcare professionals, whether that is in compliance with the guidelines or not, whether it is EC approved or not. All this would be looked in by the regulatory affairs professional. Then also we would be helping in designing the clinical trial, as in the protocol development. What are the key areas, what are the key inclusion criteria that need to be included. All this can be discussed by a regulatory through a regulatory affairs professional, and again, the team can address, together a team would work to address that what data is needed to get a clear-cut trial objective or a decision, and which clinical endpoints would require validation. Then a team can access the drug-to-drug interaction and drug-to-organ interaction. Then what is the what's the metabolism and the pharmacokinetic of the drug, and if there is a need for a bioequivalence study with the drug. The key qualities for an RA professional, I would say, is that if you choose regulatory affairs as a domain in which you want to work, it's of course very, very rewarding. It is challenging, but I think it's very rewarding also at the end of the day. So you need to be a team player. You need to have very good communication skills. You need to be diligent about your work and very resourceful, because I can quote an example that often when I'm making a submission at the DCGI office, and there are sometimes a couple of things which are short. So either like if there are logistic problems like a file or a tag or something like that, I'm always carrying that in my car. But should any document not be available, but I know that the document is there in the office with one of my colleagues, so then I would ask them to send it on my mail, and then there are cyber cafes which you go and you get a printout and you then put it in the file and again present it to the reviewer. So there are, but at the end of the day you have to make the submission. So all of these things come in handy, that you should know how to make use of your resources. Then of course, for any kind of a regulatory strategy for a product, you need to be excuse me, commercially aware. Like I'll take an example from my work scenario. Recently we were working on a project which was for the drug was meant to cure MDR tuberculosis. Now presenting such, it was an early phase development study. Now I know that there are some challenges, that the government of India may have some problems in approving such a project. So the submission pitch in this case is that since it is for MDR tuberculosis and it is a national health problem, so the dossier needs to be submitted in a way wherein the government understands that if this drug comes into the country, it's going to benefit the many patients who are suffering from this. And believe me or not, but I was like, during that point of time, the timelines for approval was close to almost a year, wherein I was able to get the approvals in 6 months of time. So you need to be commercially aware that which drug market is right now the need of your country, and how you can pitch your dossiers and how you can pitch your submissions to tell the regulatory authorities that it's a commercially viable product. Then you need to be creative, of course, because your dossiers need to be neat and they need to be very, very clear in their presentation. You need to be proactive. You need to understand that, okay, the moment a guideline changes, you need to be connecting with your colleagues for them to, and educate them that now this existing guideline has changed and it has now become this. So what are the extra documentation that would be required, or what are the extra precautions that we need to take to ensure that we are able to get approvals in a timely manner. And obviously there needs to be a sense of authority, because most often than not sometimes there would be a clash between the clinical operations team and the regulatory professional as to why a certain document is required, right? So but if you know that the document is required because it would be a compliance to the guidelines, then you have to put your foot down. And as a regulatory professional, you need to be willing to learn, because I have already stated this earlier, that the guidelines, the regulations of any country are in a constant dynamic stage. They change according to the need of the hour. In India, we've been seeing such kind of changes happen in the last 2.5 years, and so we continuously need to learn and understand what kind of new guidelines are coming in, how they're going to impact the overall development process. So that willingness to learn often helps. It should be he or she should be a good decision maker, because if you are confused about what kind of documentation is going to go to the regulatory authorities, then you cannot give a good advice to your team members. So if you're not a good decision maker, it can be a problem. And definitely you need to have good IT skills, because you would be working mostly on Word documents, you would be working on PPT, sometimes Excel sheets. So to create data, to create reports, so you need to be having good IT skills, as well as also a creative bent of mind. Now, what exactly are the officials looking like? Someone had asked in the questions that what exactly is a dossier, and so I would just like to highlight here that a dossier is basically, I would say, a hard-bound file. In India, we do hard copy submissions along with soft copy submissions, whereas in the US and in the in the European Union, we are doing only submissions in the soft copy format or the ECTD format. So a dossier is basically a compilation of different kinds of documents under different sections which are required to justify the safety and the efficacy of a product. Basically, when I say that, you would see that the key data that needs to be produced, that needs to be submitted, is that it should be acceptable on the grounds of safety and efficacy, and whether the quality that is presented in the data is it reproducible actually, whether the product is actually of that good quality, and how long will the quality of the product be maintained. So all of this is also seen. And one very important fact in clinical research that needs to be maintained at all points of time is quality. The quality must ensure consistency of safety and efficacy during the shelf life of all batches produced, and I mean, it should be it's of prime importance during in a clinical research. And how to do submission management. Submission management is not only preparing a file and submitting it to the authority's office. No, it's not that. It's much more than that. Once a submission is made, you need to go back. Like, I generally go back to my submission and I look through the pages that have I missed any data, because of course there is always data a product may be having a lot of data and you may forget to submit something. So basically anticipate what kind of questions can be asked during the review process. Have you submitted enough safety data? Have you submitted enough reports to the regulatory officials? Are those reports convincing enough to tell about the product's safety and the efficacy? So all that needs to be done, and then as I said, communicating is very important. So if there are any challenges during the submission process, the same needs to be communicated both internally and to the external stakeholders. Right. So I'm sorry, there was a loss of our internet connection here. So we were talking about the internal and external communication. So we've discussed it earlier also, that should there be a query from the regulatory agencies, then the same needs to be communicated internally to the concerned department from which the data can be retrieved, and externally, if whenever there is a query, we need to respond it back to the authorities with the valid reasons, with the valid data that what they have asked and how it can be communicated back to them. Then, as I said, controlling the resources, that what resources you have at hand and how best you should make use of those resources to do a submission, and getting things done in the right frame of time. When we are talking about submission management, the submission process cannot be a forever long process. It has to be done. I mean, in India, like when we have the documents all ready in hand, we take about 2 to 3 working days to get the submissions done. But again, the submission planning begins at least 2 or 3 months prior, wherein we interact with the sponsor team. We tell them what kind of documents are needed, how those documents are going to come to us, which documents are needed in an original copy, which documents we do in a scan copy. So all of that has to be understood and planned in a proper manner, so that at the time of when, like if you plan your submission a couple of months later, you have all the required documents in hand and there is no I would say lacuna or gap in the documents that is required. The important regulatory agencies across the world which are basically functioning for the regulatory processes. In India, we have the CDSCO office, which is headed by the DCGI. In the US, we have the US FDA. In UK, we have the MHRA. In Europe, we have the EMA. There's a typo error here. It's the EMA. In Australia, we have the TGA. In Japan, we have the MHLW. In Canada, we have Health Canada. And the overall international umbrella under which these guidelines come is the ICH GCP umbrella and the WHO umbrella. So basically, these are the international bodies which are dealing with a guideline which is there, but again, these are just an international set of guidelines, but overall the regional or the national guidelines of a country prevail when we are making the submissions to them. We've always talked about that the regulatory landscape is fast changing, and so how do we and even as regulatory professionals, how do we need to keep up with the constantly changing regulatory landscape? So there are periodic trainings which are required from time and again, which need to be taken by professionals even like me, professionals like you, or maybe young students like you, who can time and again take up those trainings, and you can upgrade your skills and your knowledge. And I think IGMPI is doing a wonderful job in providing these trainings. So I think you can log on to their website and you can see the different kind of postgraduate and executive diploma courses which they are offering in various domains of regulatory affairs, clinical research, IPR, pharmacovigilance, all very state of art. These programs that talk about the current scenario, how the current industry is working, and the best part about the programs offered here is that you even have placement assistance with this institute. So you can look into your area of interest and you can pick up a course which you would like to enroll into and maybe get on with it, and the experts here would also help you find a good placement at the end of the course, so it should be good. So you can have a look at the kind of programs which are being offered, and it's not only in the pharmaceutical or the drug section that they are offering courses. They are also offering courses in the food domain. We have courses in the food good manufacturing practices, food quality assurance and quality control practices, food regulatory affairs, which is also a very, very upcoming area in our country, with the FSSAI coming out with their guidelines and their inspection procedures. Food regulatory affairs is another very interesting and a very challenging field. So once you understand about it, it's a good domain to work in, and again a highly sought after career profile these days. And then they have programs in GLP and food marketing management, organic farming, all very interesting programs. You can take a pick according to your choice of interest in the field you like, and also would you like to you can take a pick on whether you would like a regular or a part-time or a distance learning course, and they also have e-learning tools with them which you can talk about. And we will just talk about who can join. We have in our current I would say class strength pharmacy graduates, postgraduates, science graduates, and even medical graduates and postgraduates. So we can take a pick. And the details are mentioned on this slide as well. And the program coordinator is Ms. Nisha Chauhan. You can write to her at nisha@igmpi.in, and the placement coordinator is Ms. Babita. You can contact her at babita@igmpi.in. And in Delhi they have their institute at Chhatarpur. So we'll be now answering questions, and I think there are a lot of questions. Oh my. I think everybody was busy typing questions, and did you all listen to what I said at least? Is Sneha Labana there? Right. Because see, I don't really know who all is there, and so I don't know which questions to answer. Can anybody ask a question that they want to based on what we've discussed in the presentation? Because it's not, because I don't even know who was there, and
you can respond
I think this all have been asked by Sneha Labana only. All the questions. That's why I was asking for her. There is a software for ECTD. The ECTD format is available for both the US and the European on their respective websites. You can log on to the US FDA website to understand the ECTD format that they accept. The software is not a particular software. Every company has their own software on which they work. So they can, I mean, whenever you join a company and you are in the regulatory affairs, you will get trained on a particular software and how to create and build ECTD's dossiers. And ECTD is a very lengthy and a very comprehensive topic altogether. It has been out of the scope of this presentation. So I'm sorry, I cannot talk about ECTD. Maybe in once you enroll for one of the lectures, because we do have that as a particular topic in our series. So maybe once you are a part of the course, we can discuss, and I can clear your doubts about how ECTD filing is done and what kind of document and data goes into it. The other question that is there, that are there any supporting technical documents for Brazilian market with ANVISA regulatory body? Yes, of course, they are there. They are on the ANVISA website. But again, as I said, that these are out of the scope of this presentation, because this was to make you aware as to how regulatory affairs plays an important role. But it's not a part of this presentation. You can definitely do Google on the ANVISA website, and there will be a list of documents which you can take. What is an IMPD? IMPD is an investigational product document basically, and it's basically a European requirement. An IMPD contains all the data about the manufacturing, about the content of the investigational product, and it is almost similar to an IB, like how you would make an investigator's brochure. When you are filing in the European market, it's called as the IMPD. Are there any sites which will give a track changing regulations? I'm sorry, Sneha, that is not possible, because you cannot. There is no one website that is working in and accumulating all the changes in the regulatory structure. Whichever is the market of interest for you. Maybe say India, you can log on to the DCGI website, the CDSU website that is, and you can have a look. The best part now that they are doing is that it's a dated document, like, so you would know that which is the recent document that you need to consider or refer to for making those changes. Alright, so this is Karmatullah Khan, who has asked me that can you please tell me what should be the qualification of a regulatory affairs professional, and are regulatory persons acting as lawyers, can they help and apply to patent also? Well, I am myself a biotech engineer and a master's in clinical research, and I think the only qualification you need to have is a scientific bent of mind. I mean, for my friends and even for my company, I'm half a doctor and half a lawyer, because because I need to know about the medicines, I need to know about the product and talk about that in front of the regulatory agencies, and lawyer because I need to talk about the laws and the guidelines to my company people. So once you get into the profession, you will become a bit of both. So it's not that you need to be a hardcore lawyer or a hardcore doctor to be into regulatory affairs. Once you start learning, once you start dealing with the guidelines, you would become a bit of both. Cosmetic sectors, which guidelines are followed, it's all there on the CDSO website. When you log on to the CDSO website, there is a particular division, it's called the cosmetic division. When you click on it, all the relevant set of guidelines which are pertaining currently to the Indian market are available. Similarly, you can do that for the US FDA, and you can do it for any other choice of market that you have. Difference between patent and regulatory affairs. Well, there's a lot of difference between a patent and a regulatory affairs. A patent is basically giving you, what should I say? I would say the patent gives you an exclusivity, while it's a documented exclusivity for your product. It is very different. And regulatory affairs is you're dealing with the with the regulations, with the compliances, with the guidelines day in and day out. So there are two very different things. Patent come under the intellectual property rights, whereas regulatory affairs in itself is a very different field altogether. So they are very different, and there's no need to get confused about the two. Does the regulatory affairs have any role with SAS? No, it doesn't have any role with SAS as of now. But yes, once you, I think SAS is wanting to get into the CTD format. So once that happens, maybe the regulatory affairs professional would need that as well. But as of now, some basic computer skills and some basic IT skills is what is needed. I think I've already covered it very comprehensively about what skills or knowledge is needed to work as a regulatory affairs professional, and which are the areas in which he or she needs training. We've covered about the training part. I think you can come in contact with Ms. Nisha or Ms. Babita and talk about the courses which are being offered, because once you are in the course, you would be trained exclusively on the various guidelines, not only for India but also across the globe, and you would be able to understand better how these guidelines are applied to the actual work. So you can do that. And I'm sorry, ma'am. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not taking this question. And someone wanted to be a trainer. Well, once you are working and you have that kind of confidence that you can talk about your work, you can be a trainer, I think. I am doing that. And also have a passion for training, that is, and I have a passion for training, and I want a better set of students coming out every year as better professionals, as good professionals. So if you have that kind of a passion, and if you can explain the subject well to others, I think you can be a trainer. There is no special skill sets required for that. And I hope I have taken all of the pertinent questions to the PPT. There are some which do not pertain to the PPT, so I am not taking those because they are not valid questions. That's enough? Thank you everyone for your time and for listening me out, and I hope to see some of you in our courses soon. And it's been a fun session for me, and I hope it's been a fun session for you to learn all of this as well. Thank you and have a good evening.